Mr. Speaker, before I get into the other part of my remarks tonight, I just want to digress for a moment and to recognize a great American that we lost today. I recognize the life and legacy of a dear friend, a friend of the Congressional Black Caucus, a personal friend of mine, Gwen Ifill. She was one of the nation's leading journalists, regarded as one most prominent African-American journalists in the country, and indeed a prominent journalist among all journalists. Ms. Ifill began her career in the 1970s, during a time when there were very few African-Americans, very few females in journalism. Gwen was a trailblazer in her profession. She was a best-selling author and moderator of 2 vice presidential debates. Gwen Ifill was among the nation's finest political correspondents, as she was gracious and poised when addressing some of the most pressing issues facing our country. Her voice will be missed in the media, but her legacy will continue to have a lasting impact on how we view news broadcasts. We offer our sincere condolences to Ms. Ifill's family, her friends, her followers, and colleagues all around the world. Mr. Speaker, we are at a crossroads right now in our great country. That is undisputable. But I want my colleagues to know that the Congressional Black Caucus is up for the challenge. The CBC is poised in the 115th Congress to have a record number of 49 members of Congress. Currently, we have 46. The number will go to 49. The CBC vows to continue to be the voice of our communities, representing more than 30 million Americans. We will continue to have conversations in all of our communities, and we will zealously represent our constituents. We will stand strong as a caucus. We will stand strong against any Republican effort to reverse the progress that we have made over the past few decades. We are facing some tough times ahead, Mr. Speaker, but we're going to continue to be clear on our priorities. We're going to continue emphatically about promoting economic growth that will create jobs and stability in our communities. We're going to continue to talk about the critical need for criminal justice reform. We will continue to debate and talk about and to legislate on creating educational opportunities and reducing student debt. And don't you think that we've forgotten about the Voting Rights Act. We will continue fighting for the full restoration of the 1965 Voting Rights Act. Sadly, Mr. Speaker, this was the first election that we've had without the protection of the full protection, at least, of the 1965 Voting Rights Act since it was implemented. Finally, we're going to continue to ensure diversity in the corporate arena, in the workforce, and even in classrooms. Mr. Speaker, there are peaceful protests taking place in many communities across America. As I drove into Washington, D.C. this afternoon, I even saw some here in Washington. We understand the protests. We understand the pain. We understand the pain in all of our communities due to the negativity and the division that they have seen over the last 12 months. And so we say to House Republicans that our communities are reeling with discontent, and you need to understand this discontent. Now is the time to take up legislation that will help to lift those around the country that need us desperately to act. We have unfinished business presently before this Congress. Let us act and let us move legislation that will help those that need our voices the most. Mr. Speaker, we have the capacity to do this. Congresses in past years have worked in a bipartisan manner, and they have succeeded. And we can do the same. We must work together as Democrats on behalf of the American people. Compromise, Mr. Speaker, is not a bad word. Again, Ms. Beatty, I want to thank you for yielding time. At this time, I am completed.